guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today's video is actually going to be quite different. I'm going to be talking about the Hello Kitty murder. Okay, so this case is actually like super serious, like super, like if you look it up, it's super graphic. It's very just, I guess disturbing is the word. It's really serious. It's, if you don't like hearing about like, you know, like kidnapping and like torturing and stuff like that, then just please don't watch this video. It is super serious. I just wanted to talk about this video because I just wanted to put it out there to people who didn't know about this case. I literally just came across this case today, and I was like literally all day I was just researching it. I was watching videos on it. It's crazy, and it's a very famous case. A lot of other YouTubers actually talk about this case, and there's many articles on it. If you guys do look it up, just beware. I'm just telling you guys, beware that there is very like the pictures that they have, and it's just like, it is super like, it's just very graphic, and the story itself is very it's horrible what happened in this case. But all right, let's get started. This all took place in Hong Kong, just so you guys know. This happened on May of 1999 when a 14-year-old girl walked into the police station. She was very like overwhelmed, stressed, like the police officers could tell, and she kept telling them how like she kept seeing a spirit or a ghost at night when she sleeps. And they actually were like, what? Like, they were like, okay, like this girl's like, she just needs somebody to talk to. So they just let her like talk about her feelings and like say whatever was going on. And then she brought up how this person that comes to me at night reminds me of a woman that like she hurt like a while back, like about I think a year ago or so. And then that's when the police officers was like, whoa, like what's going on? Like what are you talking about? And she explained to them how this woman, her name is Fan Man Yi. Okay, so the girl kept talking about how she sees this woman at night with blood on her face, and it's like a ghost. And so the girl continues and says how this woman died because she was tortured to death by her boyfriend. Not the woman's boyfriend, but the little girl's boyfriend. She's 14 years old and she has a boyfriend who's 34 years old. So this is a little background on Fan Man Yi. So basically, before like this tragic like moment that happened to her, she actually lived a really bad life as a child. She was abandoned by her parents, so I don't know if this means that they just didn't want her, or like something serious happened that made them leave. But she had no parents, so she actually grew up in like an orphanage or like a girls group home. So when she was a teenager, she was allowed to leave because she was like, you know, of age. So she left and she went into prostitution, and then she actually formed a drug addiction. So she was very addicted to meth. And when she was about 23 years old, she became a hostess like at a nightclub. Okay, so now I'm going to explain how Fan Man Yi's death occurred or came about, and who was part of it and everything like that. During like the years of her hostess, around the year 1997, she met a man named Chan Man Luke. He was a 34-year-old. Chan Man Luke was a pimp, I guess you could say, and he was also a drug dealer. Later on, Fan Man Yi actually got like certain clients she would go to every day and who she would give her services to and stuff like that. And the man that she met while she was working at the nightclub, Chan Man Luke, became one of her one of her like regular people that she would go to. And she would also go with his henchmen, so like his two, like, I don't know, guys that are always with him and everything like that. Okay, so later that year, the same year, 1997, she was desperate for money. She had a 2-year-old. One night that she was with Chan Man Luke, she decided to steal $4,000 for him. He actually noticed, and he told her that she had to give all the money back plus interest. So he wanted to charge her for interest because of what she did, and she didn't have the money for it. Basically, she didn't have the money for it, so she just like cut him off, and she was like not gonna be with him anymore. And she was just like, all right, well, I don't have the money for it. I gave you your 4,000. I don't have anything more for interest. Like, that's it. And so one night, specifically March 17th, 1999, Chan Man Luke, the 34-year-old, and a 27-year-old named Lu Shin Chong, and a 21-year-old named Lian Woon Lam, which is his two henchmen. They went out seeking for Fan Man Yi, and they actually did find her, and she was on the street, and she went back to prostitution. What they did was they kidnapped her, took her into a van, drove her to this like very like, I don't know, poor apartment. It was super like destroyed already on the walls. It was no good, and they just threw her in there. And actually Chan Man Luke made her become like his prostitute. So he would send her out to like the streets, and like whatever money she would get, she would have to give to him as to pay off the debt for the interest, because she stole the $4,000. And so she agreed to that, and she was like, okay. So she began to be with other guys and stuff like that, but then also with him and his henchmen as well. The second night, I believe it was, they began to punch her. They began to kick her, beat her. They began to hit her with wires. They were literally so horrible to her. They began torturing her like crazy. They literally would burn her skin, rape her. They were just using her as like their own punching bag. So she literally couldn't walk at times. Her whole body was filled with bruises and cuts and just stuff like that. Would beat her with at first it was with like punching her and everything like that. Then the men later on brought in weapons, bats, kitchen utensils, furniture, everything, and they would tell her to like come to them, and they would like to force her to laugh and smile, and that what they're doing is good. And if she didn't agree to that, and she didn't say yes to that, and she didn't smile, or she didn't laugh, they would beat her even more. So since she was a prostitute of Chan Man Luke, and he actually beat her, she became very unattractive, because when she went to go do her services with other men, they didn't find her as attractive as they did before, because now she had a whole bunch of bruises on her body. She was beaten up. She just didn't look as attractive or presentable as she was before. She actually lost all her clients, and so Chan Man Luke then made her become exclusive to only him and his henchmen. And this is when things got even more worse. They began to melt plastic on her, candle wax, burn her feet. They began to like, they smeared any like food, dirt, like bugs, like even their urine all over her open cuts that she had. And then they even made her eat her own feces, and they made her drink her own urine. One of Chan Man Luke's henchman actually like brought up an idea up to like suspend her, I guess. And so what they did was they tied up her wrist with like electrical wires or cord, and the other end of the electrical wire cord, they put it on a ceiling fan, and they just left her there for hours. It could be hours. It could be even like a whole day. They would just leave her there, and they would go in the other room and play video games, pretend like nothing's going on. She experienced all of these tortures and like beatings and everything and rape for about a month. The little girl that was at the police station was actually telling the police all of this information. Her name is Ha Fong, and she's actually like protected by the police. Like they don't tell any information about who this little girl really is or her actual name. I think they just put this name because like she was underage, so they didn't want to release any information about her. Also because she was like part of this big crime, so you know, people may want to find her and stuff like that. So on April 15th, it became a month after the kidnapping happened, and it became a month of her going through all that torture. And Chanman, Luke, and the 14-year-old girl were like, oh, like we're really hungry, like let's go eat. So then they all decided to go eat. So they actually locked up Fan Man Lee in the bathroom so she wouldn't leave, or if something like what happened, she had no way out. So they went out for food and they were eating for like a couple hours, and when they were coming back to the apartment, so the 14-year-old girl Fong actually went into the bathroom, and what she found was Fan Man Lee's body in the bathtub with blood everywhere. But not only that, apparently there was like a bunch of like orange pus coming out of her and blood, and no one really knew why. And she began to tell the two henchmen and Chairman Luke, and they were like super like shocked. They didn't know what happened, and they didn't want her death to link back to them. So what they did was they actually got a saw, or you could say like a butcher saw, and what they did was chop her body into pieces. So then if people did find pieces of her body, they wouldn't be able to identify her. So once they cut her up in pieces, they didn't want the smell to like linger around like the apartment and everything like that. So what they did was they got all the pieces and they put them in a pot, and they boiled pieces of her body so that all the flesh and skin would come off. And actually, some sources say that one of the henchmen were right next to Chan Man Lu boiling the body, and they had another pot and they were cooking noodles in it. And I'm just like, you could cook noodles right next to that? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, okay. So yeah, some sources say that that's what happened, that once all of the pieces of her body were boiled and everything, including her head, they actually put them in bags and threw them outside in the apartment's garbage. So then the apartment's garbage would just throw them out, and it wouldn't really link back to a specific house. It's just like the whole apartment's garbage. So that's what they did. The only pieces of the body parts that they did have were the organs, and they put them all in bags and tied them up and put them in their fridge. And then they had the skull. So what they did with her skull, they got this mermaid Hello Kitty teddy bear, and they shoved her skull inside the teddy bear, sewed it up, and just left it there. Throughout all of this happening, Ha Fong actually witnessed everything. She witnessed her getting tortured. She actually was part of her getting tortured in some ways, when she would kick her in the head or she would beat her up, but just with her hands. But she did witness them doing a cover-up on Fan Man Lee's death. Since the 14-year-old girl Ha Fong witnessed everything, she actually had nightmares of Fan Man Yee's death. So she really didn't see a spirit or a ghost as she claimed. She actually just had nightmares, but she didn't know that she had nightmares. She thought she really did see the spirits or the ghost of Fan Man Yee. Ha Fong, the 14-year-old girl, explained all of this to the policemen, and they actually got the two henchmen and Chan Man Luke, and they charged them for manslaughter. And the men did not say that they were part of it at all to like kill her. That wasn't their intentions, and that everything was consensual. The men say that she overdosed on meth because she was a drug addict. The three men went to trial, and this trial lasted for about 3 weeks, and then they were then charged with manslaughter because there was no evidence that they killed Fan Man Yee. They did get life in prison. However, once they completed 20 years of prison, they were allowed to be on parole, which is now. So they either already had their trial, or they either got out. I am not really sure about that. I don't think there's been an update yet. I have to check though. The teenage girl was actually, even though she was part of it and she witnessed it and saw everything, she was not charged with anything because I guess it was like a plea deal, you could say. So the police, since she gave the police all of the information and she cooperated with them and she told them everything that she knew, from the torture, the money that she owed, all of that, she didn't go to jail. So I guess it was like a plea. It was more like, well, she tells the police the evidence and she didn't go to prison. So when the men were sent to prison, they got a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist didn't diagnose them with any mental illness. They had no mental illness, so meaning that they're just psychotic, I guess. The apartment building that Fan Man Yee died in was actually still operating, I guess you could say. Like, they still charge people for rent, they still give out rooms, everything. So this case became really big in Hong Kong, and people began to wonder about her spirit, or like to see if they could contact her. A lot of people would actually go to the room that she died in and try to contact her and everything like that, and it became out of hand. They began to be disrespectful in certain ways, and so in 2012 Hong Kong decided to break down the building, and they destroyed it, and it was no longer up. It no longer existed. However, later on, there's now a hotel built on top of that building where she died, and up and running. People are living there, people are going in and out. There's actually films/movies that are based on this story. There's a movie called Human Pork Chop, and then there's another movie called There's a Secret in My Soup. So both these movies are based on Fan Man Yee's death and like what happened to her and everything like that. Fan Man Yee's son now is actually a student, and since he was 2 years old, he doesn't have a lot of memory of his mother, but the son still does wear a necklace that the police did give to him. So this is actually the end of the video. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys look more into the case and let me know if you guys liked it or not, or if you guys want me to do more of this, whatever you guys like. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye.